نحمده ونستعينه ونعوذ به من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على دين كله ولو كره الكافرون أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى وبعد. We thank the Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal for having created us and made us Muslims. We ask Him to keep us on the path of Islam and do not cause our hearts to go astray after He has guided us. We ask Him to continuously extend unto us His mercy so that we will not deviate and go away from the right path. We ask Him to forgive us for all the sins that we have committed and to save us from the punishment of the grave and that of the hellfire, and to shade us on that day. There is no shade except His shade, Azza wa Jal. Indeed, Allah Azza wa Jal is our creator, our sustainer. We love Him, we adore Him, we worship Him, Azza wa Jal. And He has sent us on this earth to follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to practice Islam, to follow the Quran and the Sunnah. Alhamdulillah, Allah Azza wa Jal has given us many, many favors. And we are thankful to Him for that. And in between, when He has given us these favors, sometimes we lose things. And sometimes, even without losing things, our emotions go all over the place. And sometimes we can't control our emotions and we can't control our feelings. Like the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when there was a period of lapse in the revelation that came to him, and he was very sad and depressed. And we all have those feelings as well. I was reading recently that the children who take their SEA, they go through a whole lot of stress. A whole lot of stress. And not just those exams, but other exams as well. So we have these points, we have these sorts of feelings going through ourselves for many different reasons. Sometimes we do not lose anything, but we just feel down. As we say, long time we dig in blues. Yeah, it happens to all of us. So we need definitely, and some people will categorize this as mental illness. And when we have mental illness, or there's some mental problem, we definitely need to get help. And I would beseech all of you that do not think you can solve your problems by yourself. This is why Allah Azza wa Jal made us into a society. Islam is not one man. The masjid is not one man. It's a group of us. It's a whole group of us that make our society, that make our masjid. And if we need help, we go seek help. It may not seem so clear and apparent when we have mental problems or we have emotional problems. We know what to do when we are having physical problems, when we are sick physically, we know what to do. We know what to do when we want to build a house or dig a drain or prepare our children for exams. We know what to do. We have to get some extra money and send them by some extra teachers and whatnot. We know what to do. But we have to also know what to do when we are having problems that are mental or emotional. How do we deal with those problems? So we need to get help. And there are many counselors, and we have Muslim counselors as well that you can go to get help. Don't ever feel you're too big or you're too macho or you're a man. I don't have to tell anybody my problems. Yeah. Because next thing you know, you're crying down the place and you might end up in St. Anne's. So, we go to people, we go and we source our solutions to our problem, and the beginning of our solutions goes back to Allah Azza wa Jal. So we go back at that time when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was feeling a bit sad that inspiration didn't come to him, Jibreel didn't come to him. Then Allah Azza wa Jal, He revealed that surah we recite so much and we love. Wadduha. Wadduha. By the morn, that's after Fajr, when the sun has risen up before Dhuhr time. That's called duha. Wadduha. Walayli idha saja. And by the night when it becomes calm and dark. Ma wadda'aka rabbuka wa ma qala. Your Lord hasn't forsaken you, nor does He hate you, or has abandoned you. So Allah Azza wa Jal, look what's happening. Allah Azza wa Jal is allaying the fears of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He's making him feel, He's going to make him feel happy. Allah Azza wa Jal is telling him, I have not abandoned you. I have not abandoned you. I do not hate you. And He gives him information now. So first He allays his fears, and then He's telling him something that is going to happen in the future. وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. And the last part of the hereafter, the later one, is better than you than the first part. That's good news. That's good news. And we need to pattern when we are dealing with people, ourselves, with these sorts of things. We are not the messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We are not going to receive revelation from Allah. And by the way, if anybody says they receive revelation from Allah, no, watch them out there, run from them. Yeah. Anybody say they get revelation from Allah. Being inspired is one thing. You know, you get a feeling to do something good, mashallah. That's from Allah. If you get a feeling to do something evil, that's from shaitan. Don't say it's from Allah. It's from shaitan and your own self. When it's a good feeling, it's from Allah Azza wa Jal. A bad feeling is from yourself, from shaitan. Seek refuge in Allah. And we'll talk about that inshallah because it's important. So, we try to allay the fears of people and give them good news. وَلَا يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ وَلَا سَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. And your Lord will give you and you will be pleased. And you will be pleased. And he went on to tell him how he found him as an orphan. He gave him shelter. He found him misguided and he guided him. Right? And then he says how to treat people, the orphans, the beggars, the people who come up to you. Don't be rude and harsh to them. Be soft. Be soft to them. And speak about the goodness that Allah Azza wa Jalla has given you by way of prophethood and revelation. So that's that. So we go back to the Quran and we know about loss. We've spoken so many times about loss. What do we do? For Bashir as-Sabirin. When we lose something, give good tidings to the people who are patient. الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتُ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Any musibah, any adverse situation that befalls them, they say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilahi raji'un. It is not when people die alone you say that. Any adverse situation you say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilahi raji'un. Ulaika alayhim salawatu min rabbihim wa rahmah. They will receive greetings and blessings and mercy from the Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal. Wa ulaika humul muhtadun. And they are the ones who are guided. So we hear all these verses being recited many times, and sometimes when it happens to us, we don't behave as the verses, as the Quran tells us to behave. When we hear someone die, we scream and we bawl. We lose our job. It's as though somebody throw in the fire of hell. You know, you lose your job, you lose your house, you lose a wife, a husband, you lose your car, somebody stole your car, may Allah forbid, beat you up, something. It's as though people throw you in the fire of hell. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyil azim. When Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us to be patient. So these things may happen, and we ask, of course, we don't want it to happen to us. Inadvertently, someone is going to die. Either you or the ones that you love, somebody is going to die. We're all going to die. We all line up to die. We're in a line. And the brother who's sitting next to you, you mightn't see him next week, or he mightn't see you. It's like that. We're in a line, you know. Time to go in the grave. Yeah, you next, come on. Yalla. Go on. Go in the grave. What you going to do? You can't do anything but go. When we die, we go to our graves. So, things are going to happen, whether we like it or not. Because our sojourn on the earth is not the amount of wealth we have amassed. It's to do with how obedient we have been to Allah Azza wa Jal, how we behave in situations, the choices that we make. The choices that we make, halal, haram, and have spent time talking about that. So coming back to our situation when we feel depressed and sad, we go back to the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it's real. Anybody coming to you and telling you they are feeling sad or depressed, even for the smallest of reasons, do not dismiss them like that. A little bit of sadness, a little bit of feeling down can lead to a serious depression. Depression can lead to suicide. Depression can lead to suicide. When there's no hope, what can a person do? When there's no hope, what do you do? So Allah Azza wa Jal tells us in the Quran as well, Ya ibadi alladhina asrafu ala anfusikum, la taqnatu min rahmatillah. O my servants who have transgressed on your own souls, do not be hopeless of Allah's mercy. Regardless of what you have done, la taqnatu min rahmatillah. Do not feel hopeless of Allah's mercy. Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jami'a. Allah forgives all sins. Innahu al-ghafurur rahim. He's forgiven, merciful. وَأَنِيبُوا إِلَىٰ رَبِّكُمْ وَأَنِيبُوا إِلَىٰ رَبِّكُمْ وَأَسْلِمُوا لَهُ. So turn to your Lord and surrender yourself to Him. مِن قَبْلِ أَن يَأْتِيَكُمُ الْعَذَابُ ثُمَّ لَا تُنصَرُونَ. Before the punishment comes upon you, then you will not be helped. He addresses us that we have transgressed on our souls, and we all have. So whether it's a transgression on our souls or an incident happened to us, we should not feel hopeless of Allah's mercy, because He gives. He forgives. He gives and forgives. We need to turn to Him. Turn to Allah Azza wa Jal and surrender ourselves to Him. So something has happened, whether it's by our hands or whether it's internal or external, something happened to us, we did it, or somebody did something to us. And we go home and we pull the coverlet and we don't want to get out of bed, just go to the toilet, come back, probably even abandon salah, and keep yourself in a kind of way because you're depressed. So we need to turn to Allah Azza wa Jal. Make dua. Put our trust in Him. Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is sufficient for us. Allah is sufficient for us. And how good a person who puts his trust in Allah is. So all these things are there. Turn to Allah. Put your trust in Him. Make dua to Him. Ask Him to make it easy. All those things are there. And we need to practice a lot of those actions and du'as and lots of dhikr to relieve those sorts of sadness and unhappiness and anguish and whatever negativity we may have in ourselves. And then the Quran tells us, Allah bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Some people, when they're depressed, they go and listen to music. They go listen to music that calms them. Yes, it probably might calm you. People who are not Muslims, they go to whoever they worship and they feel calm. So it tells us that it's something that is mental. It is there in our heads. But the real way, because you can do something, you can do an act, if it is not done for Allah Azza wa Jal, or if it is done for other than Allah, or if it is not done according to the Quran and Sunnah, it's not accepted. It's not accepted. So while they may receive some sort of relief from whatever they are doing to whomsoever, the relief is valid, isn't it? But not the method. It has shirk in it. We cannot use something haram to fix ourselves. So that's where that verse comes in. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Whosoever fears Allah, whosoever has taqwa, doing what is right for Allah according to the Quran and Sunnah, hoping of reward and staying away from what is prohibited according to the Quran and Sunnah, fearful of the punishment of Allah, making the correct choices, Allah will make a way for him and give him sustenance from areas he never, ever, ever, ever expected. I know you heard that verse already, and I'll keep on saying that verse because this is what it is. This is what it is. So, we turn to Allah. But there are other things that we can do as well from the Sunnah that we may not know about. We make dhikr, we make dua, we read Quran. You need to go to get help because when you speak to a counselor or somebody, they will know exactly how to articulate and speak with you so that you can get some relief from the depression or sadness you're going through, the stress. It works, I can tell you. It works because we help each other. We help each other. And then there's some hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because a lot of these problems we have with stress, dealing with someone, losing someone, either the person dies or doesn't want to be with you anymore, loss of a car, a house, wealth, whatever it is. What happens is that shaitan, you're weak now, so shaitan comes and whispers in the mind all sorts of thoughts to deviate you away from the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. إِنَّمَا يَدُعْ حِزْبَهُ لِيَكُونُوا مِنْ أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. He's only invited his people, his companions, his company, to be amongst his companions in the blazing fire of hell. This is what he wants. So sometimes we find ourselves in a situation, we feel depressed about it, and a solution comes to mind, but it's not halal. It is shaitan. Or we find ourselves getting more and more into the problem, being more depressed and sad, and we don't know how to get out of it, and that's where we start to abandon the little things that, the major things, the little things and the major things, whereby we don't pray and we don't get up, and we forget about Allah Azza wa Jal, just wallowing in our self-pity. So the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, an Abi Hurairah, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله تجاوز عن أمتي ما وسوست به صدورها ما لم تعلم به أو تتكلم. Hadith in Bukhari and Muslim. إن الله تجاوز عن أمتي, that Allah Azza wa Jal has forgiven, has overlooked on my nation what their hearts and their minds whisper to them. What their minds and their hearts whisper to them, as long as they do not act. As long as they do not act in accordance of those whisperings or speak about them. So we all have evil thoughts coming into our brains. We all have some sort of negative thoughts coming. As long as we do not initiate any action to do and carry out those thoughts, or we speak about it to somebody else, Allah Azza wa Jal has forgiven us. That's the first one. So if you're feeling depressed, you have to go and talk about it, but that's to get help. But you're acting out with it because you're staying in your beds and you're not praying, or you're staying in your homes, and you become like a recluse, and you're clamming up, and you wouldn't let anybody help you. This is not Islamic. You're following your whisperings because it's telling you it can't work out. And when we try to get out of it, shaitan comes in. See, we don't realize it's shaitan. But he comes and he twists us and nuts us and ties us and ropes us in. Because what happens? We overanalyze the situation. We over-philosophize, or some of us would say we overthink. We overthink what's happening to us. If I had done this, if I had done that, he wouldn't leave me, she wouldn't leave me, my son wouldn't die, I wouldn't lose my car if I didn't go by the bank. What Shaykh Munafik thinking? You think Shaykh Munafik saying that? if he didn't go by the ATM, the fellas said, I'm going to beat him up. Allah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us about that sort of conditional statement. He says, فَإِنَّ لَوْ تَفْتَحُ عَمَلَ شَيْطَانِ. Those kind of conditional statements open up the doors of shaitan. It happened. You made a bad choice. We need to deal with it and do not wallow in that bad choice and the effects and the consequences of that choice. You need to deal with it. Do not remain in your self-pity. Get out of it. Because as long as you remain there, you are following what shaitan is whispering to you. You ever see it playing over in your head? It keeps on playing in your head. And it makes you more sad. And Allah tells in the Quran, وَلَا تَحْزَنْ. Don't be sad. How many times Allah Azza wa Jal tells us that in the Quran? Do not be sad. And he tells Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَلَا تَقُ فِي ضَيْكٍ مِمَّا يَمْكُرُونَ. Don't feel depressed and, from what they are planning. Don't feel like that. These are not traits of a Muslim. Yes, they come to us, but we have to deal with it. Allah is telling us, you need to deal with it. And we have to deal with it. And if we can't deal with it, go and get help. Another hadith from Abu Hurairah, he said that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, يَأْتِ الشَّيْطَانُ أَحَدَكُمْ فَيَقُولُ مَنْ خَلَقَ كَذَا وَمَنْ خَلَقَ كَذَا. Shaitan will come to one of you and say, who created this? Who created that? And we know the answer, Allah, Allah. Then he will ask the other question, حَتَّى يَقُولَ مَنْ خَلَقَ رَبَّكَ. Then he will say, who created your Lord? See, being diplomatic, he is very diplomatic. He's a diplomatic liar and transgressor and deviator. A diplomatic changer of hearts because he wants us to be in the fire of hell with him. Is he selfish? He might be selfish about the fire of hell. He wants us to be with him. He wants to share the fire of hell with him. He wants us to share it. So he's going to come now and harass us about our deen. Who created your Lord? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, فَإِذَا بَلَغَهُ فَلْيَسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ وَلْيَنْتَهِ. So I'm going to give you 5 things that came from a hadith, different hadith, for your own self. And there are many other things as well, of making dhikr and all these things. You have all those things that I spoke about. And these specific 5 things that came from different hadith to do while seeking help for yourself. He said, if that reaches him, that point when he's asking who created Allah, or anything to do with an aqidah, a belief that is haram and wrong, and this is the highest of it, is the worst of it, let him seek refuge in Allah. Say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim wal yantahi, and let him stop thinking about that. I'll come back to this in a minute, inshallah. And then another hadith, he says, La yazalu an-nasu yatasa'aluna hatta yaqala Hada khalaq Allahu al-khalq, that Allah has created the creation. فَمَنْ خَلَقَ Allah, then who created Allah? فَإِذَا قَالُوا ذَلِكَ قُولُوا فَقُولُوا. So if they say that among themselves, then say, Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. We know it as Surah Al-Ikhlas. ثُمَّ الْيَدْفُلْ عَنْ يَسَارِهِ ثَلَاثًا. Then let him blow on his left side 3 times. وَلْيَسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. And seek refuge in Allah from shaitan, the accursed. And in another hadith he said, say, Amantu billahi wa rusuli. I believe in Allah and His messengers. So there are 5 things. I will just rearrange them a little bit. And I want you to memorize it now. Memorize it. You know it already. You're just going to put it in a little order. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. That's 1. Say it in your head. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Recite Surah Al-Ikhlas. Right? Qul huwallahu ahad. The hadith didn't come with the qul, so you can simply say Allahu ahad, Allahu samad until the ending of it. Blow 3 times over your left shoulder. Don't spit at it. You're not supposed to spit. Blow. Like that. 3 times over your left shoulder. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Surah Al-Ikhlas. Without the kul, according to the hadith. Blow 3 times over your left shoulder. Say, Amantu billahi wa rusuli. Not rasulihi, but rusuli, the plural. Rusuli. I believe in Allah and His messengers. Amantu billahi wa rusuli. Say it with me. Amantu billahi wa rusuli. Amantu billahi wa rusuli. One more time. Amantu billahi wa rusuli. And then the last one, stop thinking about what you're thinking about. And I want to talk about this a little bit. It's connected with ihsan. Remember what's ihsan? Ihsan an ta'budu Allah ka'annaka tarahu fa in lam takun tarah fa innahu yarak. To worship Allah Azza wa Jal as though you see Him. And if you cannot see Him, and of a surety you can't see Him, then He sees you. You have to have the presence of mind that when you're worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal, He's looking at you. If you work for somebody, what would you do if that boss tells you, I'm going to watch you, I'm not going to criticize you, I'm not going to punish you, I'm not going to do anything, I just want to watch you, see how you work, what you'll do? Mumtaz. Yeah? Mumtaz. You're not going to make any mistakes. You're not going to make any mistakes. So if you worship Allah Azza wa Jal while we are praying, knowing that He's watching us, we shouldn't try to make any mistakes. And sometimes it's a hard thing to do. So now we go into a little thing about the consciousness and the subconscious. You see, a lot of times, maybe the majority of times, our subconscious take over, our reflex action it takes over. And when we are in a state of depression, this is what happens. Our subconscious is running us, it's leading us, it's depressing us. And we can't come out of it. And this last part, you have the 4 things here. Use it. And this last part is telling us, make your consciousness, your conscious self, control the subconscious. Let your conscious self control the subconscious. Focus on your salah. Focus on what you are reciting. Focus on the dhikr. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Focus on everything you're doing in your salah. Focus on it and forget about what made you sad. Forget about what is being cooked at home, about the wedding that is coming up, about a celebration. Forget about it. Concentrate on your salah. This is the pinnacle of your existence. This is what defines us against the people who do not believe our salah. And in everything else, even outside of your salah, if you keep on replaying the sadness in your head, focus on what is there. Go through the 4 steps, and the 5th one, stop thinking about it. And I was told, and it works, if you keep on getting back into that subconscious, touch something. Touch it. Not for barakah, not for blessings, but to come back to your reality. Touch something. Touch it. Hold it. And it will work. And this is from the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, dealing with our depressions and our grief, our sadness, our times of negativity. And there's no better counselor than Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You can't talk to him, by the way, but you have the lessons from him. And get other help from the counselors. You have lots of Muslim counselors now coming up. They will help you, inshallah. We all need help. We all do. Or you may know somebody who needs help. There are people who are suicidal, they're depressed, they're sad. Some people just digging blues, wherever. It happens. It's okay. A lot of stuff we deal with ourselves. But here we have a lot of information from the Quran and Sunnah how we can deal with this. This is the completeness of Islam. And we have to believe in it. We have to believe in it. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us of those people who would indeed follow the Quran and Sunnah. May He when in times of sadness make us happy. Happy to be chosen by Allah Azza wa Jal. You ever thought that you make a dua for something? We all ask Allah to increase us in piety. Think it might just come like that? Yes, it can come. But it might come at a price as well. That something happens and you cry your heart out night and day and you gravitate towards Allah. Hey, that is getting close to Allah. That is your taqwa. That is what you ask for. You ask Allah to love, for Him to love you. He loves you when you cry out to Him. You're not crying out to Him so He gives you a disaster. Subhanallah. In the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Inna azam al-jazai ma-azam al-bala. The greater reward is with the greater test. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى إِذَا حَبَّ قَوْمًا ابْتَلَاهُمْ. And Allah Azza wa Jal, if He loves a people, He gives them a test. فَمَنْ رَضِيَ فَلَهُ رِضَى. Whosoever is pleased with the test, then pleasure will be for him from Allah Azza wa Jal. وَمَنْ سَقِطَ. And whosoever is displeased with the test, فَلَهُ سُقْطٌ. Then displeasure of Allah will fall upon him. May Allah forgive us all. May He make us strong. And may He guide us on the right path. Ameen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.